Yes, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, not just to 2019, but to the latest episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And hopefully you guys are starting your 2019 very well. So far, I had a bit of an iffy start, but things are starting to pick up. So I can definitely say that my 2019 seems to be off to a pretty good start. And it does seem like 2019 in general is off to a good start also, especially on YouTube, where it doesn't seem like anybody is doing anything really stupid. Logan Paul and the other Pauls are staying at home, so they're not acting like idiots and being the disgrace of YouTube and other countries like in Japan. And it's great to see that PewDiePie and other white gamers, they're starting to stay, they're being silent, so they're not going around blasting out racial slurs and stuff like that. So that's also good as well. So at least it's great that we are starting the year off with no controversies whatsoever. Wait, what? For fudge sakes, Matt Pat, what the fridge, man? I mean, for God's sake, what the fridge are you even doing, dude? Seriously, you'd think that the one thing you would learn in school would be sources, but good God, and I thought the game theory guy would be the smart one of the YouTubers, but no, that doesn't seem to be the case. Oh well, what the fridge can you do? Okay, so anyways, I would like to point things out before we do get things started that even though we are starting a new year, with the first week, we don't necessarily have any big news. And I saw in the chat while people were discussing that it was pretty tough to find some major animation news that actually did happen this week. Well, part of the reason for that is actually because we are still technically in the holidays, and especially with New Year's Eve and New Year's and stuff like that, there wasn't a lot of time for people to go and work. However, I would like to say, though, that I did manage to find some stories and some discussion pieces worth checking out. And yes, don't worry, they are still animation related, and most of them are actually trailers, believe it or not. So, this is definitely going to be an interesting episode. Don't worry, even though they're not necessarily big news, like, the following ones will definitely pick up from here, but still, this one is still going to be fun, it is still going to be interesting, and I'm sure we can pick out some madness on that. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go and ask on the chat wall, guys, are you all ready for this week's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Are you ready to go and start off 2019 with some madness? Okay, let's see now. Are we all ready? Ah, yes. Okay, perfect. Yeah, and also a lot of people are pointing out about the, this week is also the 20th anniversary of my personal favorite Cartoon Network show, Ed, Edd n Eddy, so, happy 20th anniversary to the Ed boys. So, with all that said and done, let's go ahead and get things started. And with the first trailer that I want to go and talk about, it's actually the first trailer release of 2019. And this one is actually going to be pretty interesting because I'm sure all of you have definitely heard about live action remakes to animated films, but now we're going to switch things up and discuss about CGI remakes to animated films. And let's go ahead and talk about the first one right over here with Pokémon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. So let's go ahead and check out this trailer. Mewtwo no Gyakushu Evolution. Oop, no, that's okay. Thank you. Here, let me just put it right over here with the title. So yes, folks, that was the trailer of the next Pokemon movie that's going to be coming out called Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. And even though there isn't a lot of information that has been released about it, it seems like it is going to be a remake of the first Pokemon movie, which of course is also called Mewtwo Strikes Back. And this time around, it looks like it's going to be completely in CGI. And honestly, this is the first time that I actually saw this trailer in particular. I think Pokemon also released another trailer that's more focused on that. I don't recall the last time I saw the trailer that it would also show the premiere of Pokemon the first movie. That I didn't recall, but this is still pretty new. And I will say, the trailer does seem pretty interesting, that they want to say that, yes, we're going to be going back to this old story. And I do believe there is another piece of information that is stated right over here. Okay, well, I'm using my source on Polygon, but, okay, I don't think it even mentioned this right over here, but I think I have actually heard that when it comes to this one right over here, you could correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, but apparently the original Japanese voice of Mewtwo will be coming back to reprise his role onto Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, and you might have heard even his voice right over here. So, if you guys have recalled that, like, if you guys do watch my videos, then you may recall, actually, it was, last year, I think I can officially say that now, that I actually did do a review of Pokemon the first movie, and, I will admit that it definitely was a movie that, growing up, it's not as good as when I saw it as a kid, and even by Pokemon standards, it is still kind of I mean, it definitely does have its moments, and the animation certainly did get an upgrade from the TV show, even at the time, but, like, you know, it's not all that great, to be honest. So seeing them going back but using CGI, it just feels like a remake that, even for me, just doesn't seem all that interesting, especially when there are other stories that are definitely better, and even other Pokemon movies that are definitely better than what we got with this one right over here. But even though this is just speculation for now, if it is going to be a legitimate remake of Pokemon the first movie, I definitely do feel like there is a very good chance that this will be a remake of Pokemon the first movie, because this is technically not the first time that Pokemon would actually go and remake their older stories. Just recently, we had Pokemon the movie, I Choose You, which is actually a feature-length remake of the first episode of Pokemon, the anime series, where Ash takes his first steps in becoming a trainer, and then he selects Pikachu as his starter Pokemon, and then from there we see that their relationship is pretty rocky. It didn't start off all that well. Pikachu was mostly being a dick to Ash, but then suddenly their friendship starts to bloom, and something begins when Ash would protect Pikachu from a horde of Spearows. And then from there, of course, the movie would take some liberties, and we have now the infamous scene where, just right out of the blue, Pikachu starts talking to Ash, which which normally, that would be the particular scene where you start to see, like in the old cartoons, people picking up their alcohol going, nope! But yeah, it definitely was weird, but my point is that Pokemon has started to take an interest in terms of remaking their old stories and telling them in a new way. So it's not necessarily surprising that they want to go back into their first movie. And what's also interesting to note, it looks like this could also be the first computer animated Pokemon movie. And in the clips, we actually do see, like, just going back a little bit, like, we see Mewtwo and Mew that are in the skies, and, like, Mewtwo is pretty much chasing Mew. And, like, the CGI so far, it seems like people are debating rather if the quality looks like it's gonna be good or it looks like it's gonna be bad, but I will say for me, for someone who does play Pokemon for a very long time, at least the video games, I'm kind of used to seeing Pokemon in CGI right now, especially nowadays when all the Pokemon games now, they are using computer animation. We don't see them as sprites, or we don't see them as 2D figures when we see them battle each other. Now it's actually CGI figures, and especially right now, I'm still binging on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so I'm pretty much used to seeing this Mewtwo in CGI, or even, like, I actually did see Mew once. Like, I got a Pokeball, it came out as Mew, so that did actually happen. So the CGI factor in a Pokemon movie is something that I feel like is not necessary to go and complain or to really discuss about, because I will admit, for me, like, a CGI Pokemon movie doesn't sound all that ludicrous. And especially, I don't think there's a point that we can complain about it anymore, especially after the release of the trailer for Detective Pikachu, which is going to be the big Hollywood, the big budgeted Hollywood movie about Pokemon. And we saw that one is more of a CGI movie that is a lot more different. Probably the one thing that people worried about the most when it comes to turning Pokemon into CGI. And on that one, it actually works out very, very well. And the thing is that, what was it? Yeah. The thing is that it uses a lot of details. It uses a lot of realistic textures onto the Pokemon, like scales, fur, skin, and all that kind of stuff. But it actually does look good. It actually does look pretty impressive, especially when you do look at Pikachu. Like, it's easily the fluffiest Pikachu that you have ever seen. So it really does work to an extent. So it's not really the fact that Pokemon becoming CGI, it's not the issue when it comes to this movie, because with Detective Pikachu, so far with what we are seeing with the trailer, it does look pretty good. And with this one right over here, I don't think the CGI is going to be that much of an issue. But I will say, though, what does seem to be something that people are worried about and not sure how it's going to look in CGI is actually regarding the human characters, like with Ash, Misty, Brock, Team Rocket, and all those guys. How are they going to look in CGI? But again, if you have played a lot of the video games, then you have seen how Pokemon characters and even human Pokemon characters can be turned into CGI. Like if you play Sun and Moon, or if you played X and Y, then you have seen how those character designs can be translated onto computer animation. So probably we will see a little bit of the same here. Maybe a little bit more detailed, a little bit more textured, but I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. I'm sure it's going to look fine, but one thing that I do wonder, though, it would actually be regarding which design are they going to go, because I know that recently, I think it is on the X and Y anime, no, not X and Y, the Sun and Moon anime series, where they did update the design a little bit, where there are some subtle changes when it comes to the style of Ash, or even with Misty and Brock, because I know they did a little bit of a comeback on that series. So, I don't know which design are they going to go specifically in order to go and update it onto this. I can imagine that maybe they'll take the classic old design and they'll update that onto CGI. Maybe they'll go in that direction, but we'll have to wait and see. But I will say, for me, though, overall, when it comes to this trailer in particular, not just this trailer, but the idea of this movie in particular, I am a little bit iffy. Like, I'm not saying that this is going to suck, this looks like a bad idea, but for me personally, now that I am older and that I have recently seen Pokemon the first movie, I just feel like it's not all that great as much as it was when I watched it back as a kid. So seeing it again but updated in CGI is just something that I don't necessarily know. Like, I don't know if this is something that I really want, because like, say what you will about the Lion King remake, at least that one is a remake of a movie that I highly did enjoy, that I thought it was fantastic, so seeing a new version of that would be interesting. But in this case right over here, for me, I feel like you're taking a not-so-great movie and you're trying to make a remake out of that. So, I don't know if they're really going to add anything new to it, if they're really going to update the story. Like, maybe the CGI could actually be spectacular, and that could be the new element that it could deliver, but other than that, I'm not 100% sure on the idea of this movie. I do feel a little bit iffy. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead into the chat wall right over here, and I would like to go ahead and ask you guys, what do you all think of Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution? What do you think of the trailer also. Is this a movie that you're interested to go and check out? Do you guys think it's a good idea to remake Mewtwo Strikes Back? Let me know what you guys think right over here. Okay. Oh boy, we do have a lot of them. I haven't seen the first Pokemon movie, but this trailer looks pretty cool. The animation so far is nice, and it has a lot of potential to be the best Pokemon movie of 2019. No other Pokemon movie can top... Oh my goodness, is that Deadpool Pikachu in a hat? Yeah. You know, but oh my god, I think I just realized something, though. That, speaking of The Lion King, this, 2019 is going to be the year where remakes are going to relive the moments where it made people's childhoods completely cry. We got Mufasa's death in The Lion King, and then you also got Ash turned into stone, which made Pikachu cry in Pokemon the first movie. So now they're remaking both of those. Oh my god, I'm sure people are going to cry in a nostalgic way. Like, oh my god, it never dawned on me that they would actually go and do that. Okay, let's see. My negative thoughts on Pokemon the first movie aside, I will say remaking 2D animated movies as computer animated is an interesting experiment. It all depends on how well characters translate to a new medium, and if it successfully serves as an alternative to the original. Yeah, honestly, that does seem pretty good. You do bring up a good point that at the very least with this one, it does seem like it could work out as an experiment just to see if the idea of making a computer animated film based on a hand-drawn animated film, if that can actually work out. Now, of course, this is just Pokemon, and not many people are going to pay attention to it because Pokemon is kind of on its own league. It's not necessarily something that would be enough to grab Hollywood's attention, with the exception of Detective Pikachu, of course. But with this one, that does sound like a pretty good idea. That does sound like a pretty interesting experiment. Okay, let's go and see if there are other ones. Let's see. I disagree with your opinion on Mewtwo Strikes Back since it was a fine movie to me, but I don't think this movie will be as good as the original. Oh boy, I'm sure that's also going to be something that people are going to go ahead and discuss about, the comparisons between this and also the original. I'm sure, when the movie comes out, people are going to be talking about that to bits, so we'll have to wait and see how that's going to do. Let's see now. Do we have, anything else? What if Misty and Brock isn't coming back for this remake? I don't know. I mean, only time will tell. This is only a teaser trailer, and that's going to be it. We don't have, any other information regarding Ash or Misty or Brock or anything like that. Maybe they're going to do something different. I believe they did that with, Pokemon movie I Choose You. They did bring in new sidekicks instead of Misty and Brock, along with retweaking the story to implement Pokemons from the other generation in the beginnings of Ash's story. So maybe they are going to twist that a little bit. Maybe we will see this is on this movie. It's not just going to be the first 151 Pokemon. Maybe they will add in a little bit more, we will see Pokemon from Sun and Moon. We will see characters like Greninja, or we will see characters like Incineroar. Only time will tell for that. Okay, so with that said and done, I think we're pretty much all good with this trailer for Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, and we will only have to wait and see when the movie will first come out in Japan on July 12th. And I have seen people talking into the chat wall that there is a possibility the movie will also be coming out sometime in November, probably. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our next story right over here. And we actually got another trailer, but this time around, it's actually going to be a trailer for a more mainstream movie. So we're going to go ahead and talk about one of the big films that are going to be coming out in 2019, and we're going to be checking out the new teaser trailer, or just the new trailer in general, of The Secret Life of Pets 2, in which this one seems to be called the Daisy trailer. So let's go ahead and check this one out.
You're wearing a bright suit. Everyone's gonna notice you. I'll be fine.
Okay, so that was the Daisy trailer of The Secret Life of Pets 2. And before we begin on this one in particular, before expressing my thoughts on that one, hold on. Let me just go back and put it on Pets 2. I will say, I've already discussed the Max trailer here, and I have stated that I really did enjoy that one. I thought it was definitely the funniest among all of the Secret Life of Pets 2 trailers that we have already gotten. And even the jokes are pretty memorable on that one, and it did leave a pretty good first impression. But then, when it comes to the other trailers that we have gotten, like the Snowball trailer and the Chloe trailer, even for me, I felt those ones were just like, you know, it's just like, it doesn't look like it's going to be bad. It doesn't look like it's going to be cringy. But it's just, for me, it didn't do much. Like, for me, I just look at it and I feel like it's going to go like, I don't know. You know, it just, from there, that feels like it's going to leave me in an impression that the movie might not be as good as I thought it would be after seeing the Max trailer. And speaking of Max, by the way, I think it is safe to say that now this week we have seen a very good purpose as to why The Secret Life of Pets 2 needs to exist. I mean, say what you will how the movie is going to go. You can be excited for it. You might not be excited for it. You think it's going to be awesome. You think it's going to suck terribly. It could be like one of the worst movies ever. You can have whatever thought you want. But at the very least, this movie needs to exist so that the franchise can distance itself from Louis C.K. I mean, this week we have seen Louis C.K. having a massive mental breakdown on stage, destroying his entire reputation, or what little he had of it left. And right now, I think Illumination, they're looking at the news right now, and they're telling themselves, we did good, guys. We did good. We did good leaving him out and replacing him with Patton Oswalt. I think that was definitely a great move of Illumination, and I think we need to give them the benefit of the doubt that, yes, The Secret Life of Pets 2 needs to exist, so at the very least, we don't associate Louis C.K. with a franchise made for kids. So, at least good on Illumination to go ahead and do that. So, that's definitely nice right over there. But with all that said and done, looking into the Daisy trailer, for me, I feel like this would be in the middle among all the trailers that we have gotten. It's not as good as the Max trailer. There isn't anything that's like highly memorable in there or laugh out loud funny. But at the same time, I did like this a little bit more than the Snowball trailer and the Chloe trailer. In fact, one thing that they did bring back from the Snowball trailer, it looks like Snowball here is going to be more of a superhero type of character. He's definitely not going to be the same as he was in the first Secret Life of Pets, and now he is going to see himself as a massive superhero. In fact, we might have a little bit of a clue of what this plot could actually be in the movie in particular, where apparently Snowball is going to be dressed up as a superhero, and he's going to go save a caged tiger that's meant for a circus. That seems to be the direction that they're going to go with. And on top of that, it looks like, I'm not saying it looks like, but this is actually the first time that it really does highlight a new character, which in this case is Daisy, which is this little Shih Tzu dog voiced by Tiffany Haddish. And with that character, I mean, she does have some funny moments. She does have some entertaining moments in this trailer, but for me, I feel like with this new character, it doesn't feel like she's going to be all that strong or she's going to add a lot to The Secret Life of Pets 2 because for the most part, she does pass off as just Tiffany Haddish being Tiffany Haddish. And that would all depend on how much you do enjoy Tiffany Haddish if you want to enjoy Daisy. But so far, she's just mostly doing the same Tiffany Haddish stuff. Like, probably the best example would be right over here.
Hello, citizens!
Who is that?
I'm Captain Snowball.
Exactly, you know, just making those little quips, those little remarks, is just like, okay, yeah, they're mostly letting the characters just, or not, they're letting the voice actors to just mostly improvise and mostly be themselves onto the trailer, so, it doesn't sound like it's going to be all that amazing, and, I'm not saying I'm not sold, but it doesn't convince me that this is going to be one of the standout animated features of the year. But I will give them this. I did enjoy that. I did enjoy the ending. That part was actually funny when they're all outside.
Let's free that tiger.
Or die trying.
Well, I mean,
We might. Probably you. Huh? You're wearing a bright suit. Everyone's gonna notice you. I'll be fine.
Like, that part was actually funny. In fact, I could debate that's probably the funniest thing that came out of this trailer in particular. But I will say, overall, with this teaser trailer that we got, so far, it's just right down the middle. It didn't make me laugh as much as the Max trailer, but also, it is a bit of an improvement from the Chloe trailer and the Snowball trailer. It's not convincing me that this is going to be a great movie, but maybe we'll get some substance out of it. Like, at the very least, I look at this and I don't think it's going to be the worst animated film of the year. It's definitely not. So, I guess we'll have to wait and see with how this goes. But with the Daisy trailer, I mean, I guess I could say that it's fine. I think that's the most that I could say. It's just, it's not great. It's not really that good. But so far, it's fine. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead into the chat wall right over here. And now I want to ask you guys on your thoughts in particular about the new teaser trailer for The Secret Life of Pets 2, or the Daisy trailer, as they would refer to it. Are you guys interested? Does it make you a little bit more convinced to see the movie? Are you guys still iffy about it? Are you guys turned off by this? Do you think this one is the worst? Do you think this one is the best? Let me know what you think right over here. Okay, let's see now. Let's see. I think this might turn out to be pretty good. Not great, but good enough to be really entertaining to watch. Best of luck for the film. Okay. I think the Daisy trailer is fine. I really appreciate the detail on her fur, but since she's voiced by Tiffany Haddish, that got really distracting. I think the best part of the trailer was Chloe's reply when Daisy asked if Snowball is okay. Oh, that's definitely true. And perhaps when Daisy says they might die trying. I still probably won't see it, but it looks fine. Yeah. I think I'm definitely on the same page as Liv. I definitely forgot. That actually is the best part of it. Where is it? Yeah, right over here. This little piece.
Is he okay?
Not in any way, no.
Okay, that part is actually really good. That could be like even, that's probably Chloe's best moment among all the trailers. That's actually great. And I see there are some people asking about Harrison Ford because it does look like he is going to be a new character in The Secret Life of Pets 2. And honestly, at the rate that they are going, and the fact that they did introduce a brand new character with Daisy right over here, it would not surprise me in the slightest. I wouldn't be surprised if Harrison Ford might actually be the last trailer of The Secret Life of Pets 2 before they do put out an official trailer of Secret Life of Pets 2, if you know what I mean, like a real legitimate trailer that's just not like a set of minute-long cartoons. So maybe we could see that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see onto this one. Let's see, any other thoughts, any other comments on this? I just want to double check. Let's see. Oh, we got a positive one. It looks adorable and funny. I haven't seen the first film yet, but I want to see this. I want to see this and the first film. Okay. So some people seem to be appealed to the cuteness. Anything else? Oh boy, some people are talking. Some people want me to talk about the Kevin Hart controversy with the Oscars. Yeah, honestly, guys, I'm not going to talk about that right now. Like, let's wait and see until what happens. But for now, it still looks like a massive mess right over there. Hey, boy. This looks okay. This could be an interesting year for Tiffany Haddish to be appearing in animated films with this one and the Lego Movie 2. I wonder what other animated films she's going to appear in next. We shall see. We definitely shall see. But I guess it is a bit of an interesting coincidence that Tiffany Haddish is definitely going to be popping up in more animated films. Just out of curiosity, what was that Tiffany Haddish in Ralph Breaks the Internet? You know the character, yes? Was that also Tiffany Haddish as well? I'm trying to jog my memory onto some of the other stuff that she's been in, because I definitely know that Tiffany Haddish does have a very distinctive voice, so maybe we shall see. Yes, okay, so it definitely was Tiffany Haddish in Ralph Breaks the Internet. So yeah, she's definitely going to be jumping from animation studio to animation studio. She's going from Disney, and then she'll be going to Warner Brothers, and now she's going to be going to Illumination. Okay. Oh, no, wait. Oh, wait. Yes? Oh, come on. Great, now... Wait, hold on a sec. Oh, whoops, never mind. Oh, of course. Okay. Oh, I see. Sorry. My mistake. Scratch that. Okay, apparently Yes was played by Taraji P. Henson. Okay. I was a bit confused because a lot of people were saying like, yes, no. What the fridge is it? Like, okay, there we go. So it is Taraji P. Henson. My apologies for that mistake. Okay, so Tiffany had, wait, hold on. Okay, no, never mind. Tiffany Herrera. Okay, no, that's another person in particular. Okay, so, I think so far, well, like, it seems like we do get the idea that this trailer is okay. It's not great, it's not good, it's not terrible, it's not bad, it's just down the middle where it's like, it's okay. At least, if we go into this, it's not really gonna suck hard. So, at least there is that. Alright, so, now that we are all good with The Secret Life of Pets 2, let us now go on to our next one. And this is going to be the final trailer, in which we have a Netflix series. And this one is actually going to be coming very soon. In fact, I think it's going to be coming in the next 2 weeks. So, with that said, let's go ahead and check out the new trailer for Netflix's upcoming series of Carmen Sandiego.
We're off to Indonesia.
You wearing a coat in this heat?
A lady needs her tools.
Okay, so that was the trailer for Carmen Sandiego, and I'm gonna be honest, among all the trailers that we have seen so far, I think this one actually is the best. It definitely does look pretty interesting. Now, I just want to start things off right now by saying that I don't know Carmen Sandiego. I haven't seen the show when I was a kid. I haven't played any of the games. I do believe there were Carmen Sandiego video games, but I'm not too familiar with Carmen Sandiego. But I will say that oh yeah. Okay, so there are video. Oh yeah, in fact, Carmen Sandiego is actually based on a video game. But I will say, looking at this one in particular, it does seem very intriguing, and I did took a bit of a glance at the comment section in here, and they actually do bring up a very good point that apparently this actually does bring back a lot of, oh, well, no, I used to say it, but a lot of people would actually go and point out that this series in particular, at least through the trailers, it actually does bring out a lot of Kim Possible vibes, where it will, excuse me, as I was trying to say, this really does focus a lot more into the spy aspect and also a lot of the action, plus the fact that we do have a young girl playing as the main character who's mostly being a spy, because there's a lot of different spy weaponry. There is a bit of that theme going on where it is a lot of crime-fighting action, but it is more in the veins of James Bond in the sense where a lot of creative technology will be involved. And seeing how it is mostly going to be focusing on the origins of Carmen Sandiego, like focusing on her in particular, it does seem interesting that it does give the series a lot of time to really flesh her out as a character before they fully go onto adventures. But I don't think it really is going to be something that's going to happen throughout the whole thing. Like, this isn't going to be a prequel series in particular. I do feel like this is more in the reboot category, where they'll probably mention that in the first few episodes, like, look into her origins, how she became Carmen Sandiego. But for the most part, like, afterwards, that's when you do get the true sense of Carmen Sandiego, because one thing I know about her is that technically the whole purpose of Carmen Sandiego is actually meant to be more educational. The purpose of Carmen Sandiego is to go and teach kids about geography, regarding historical landmarks, about different countries, and where some priceless artifact, like where would they come from. So that's kind of like the whole point of Carmen Sandiego with the original TV show and the video games. And this one, it looks like it is going to stay a little bit true to that theme in particular, where we do see Carmen Sandiego jumping from one country to another to rescue artifacts from thieves. It does look like it wants to stay true with the spirit, along with fleshing it out with some interesting characters, with a whole bunch of new villains and new allies for Carmen Sandiego to play around with. But I will definitely say that with this trailer in particular, it does give out a pretty good first impression with it. And on top of that, there are some people who did mention it in the chat wall that I have definitely noticed, is actually the fact that the animation does seem pretty stylized. It does look pretty interesting, where it is mostly flash animation, but it is hard to describe, but it does remind me a bit of the same animation style that they would pull off in something like in the Tangled animated series, where it is more flash-based and they do keep the colors a little bit more flat. But there is a bit of its own unique style into it. One that seems a little bit more sharp. One that seems a little bit more crisp into it. One that relies a little bit more on symmetry and probably less on the it doesn't lean on the cartoon aspect whatsoever, but try to have its own art style, something that would be more comfortable for the animators to use in order to incorporate a lot of heavy action. So that's kind of the vibes that I am getting with it. But in terms of its art style, it does look pretty cool. It does look pretty interesting, and you know, for a Netflix series, it actually looks pretty nice. So definitely, I will say that with this teaser trailer in particular, I keep saying teaser trailer, good God. Like, really, that Pokemon, the first movie thing really did me a massive number on that. Okay, I gotta stop saying teaser trailer, but overall, with this trailer in particular, I definitely do feel like it holds a lot of promise. It definitely has a lot of potential to probably come out as something great and give give something new to Carmen Sandiego. And on top of that, we do have some pretty good acting in here. A lot of the acting performances, it looks like it's going to be pretty solid, and especially with Gina Rodriguez as Carmen Sandiego herself, she does sound pretty good on this. So overall, this actually is a great trailer. This definitely looks promising. And this series is actually going to be coming pretty soon, like I said. And the series will be coming out on January 18th. So in 2 weeks, this Carmen Sandiego series is actually going to be coming out. So if you guys are interested in geography, if you guys are interested in action, if you guys are interested in a Kim Possible style animated series, then Carmen Sandiego is definitely for you. Alright, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall right over here, and I want to go and ask you guys, what do you think of this new Carmen Sandiego series. What do you think of the trailer right now? Does it intrigue you to go and check out the animated series? Do you think it's going to be great? Do you guys have any doubts on it? I would like to know, what do you guys think on it? Tell me right now. Alright, so, let's see. It'll be interesting because Carmen Sandiego is usually portrayed as a villain, whereas here, she is being sworn more as a hero. I don't know about that, because honestly, with the vibes that I'm getting right over here, it's a little bit like Carmen Sandiego is acting more like an anti-hero, or more, I guess the best way to put it is like, she's acting more like a vigilante more so than a legitimate hero, where her intentions is to go and say, you know, she is to go and help. She's trying to save things and stopping bad guys. So there is that hero aspect, but her approach to it is definitely questionable, where I would be a little bit hesitant to say if she would actually be if she would be a legitimate hero per se, because I think they said it best right over here in the trailer. Where is this part? Yeah, like it says so right over here.
Sandiego were a thief who only steals from other thieves.
So that's the thing, is that technically Carmen Sandiego is not necessarily a hero because she is a thief, but she is she only steals from other thieves. That's kind of the main idea with her character in this series. So I'm not 100% sure if they really want to go and make her a full-on hero, but definitely not a villain. Definitely, like, her role has definitely changed since the previous times, from the original animated series and also from the video games, of course. All right, let's see. Netflix seems to be very consistent with their animated series. Has there ever been any bad ones aside from that Boss Baby one? Whew, that's actually a very good question, because so far, it's hard to really think of anything bad that has been said about any of the Netflix animated series. I mean, the most that I could think of is probably with Big Mouth, where at first a lot of people were mocking the character designs hard as, like, ugly and, like, just really bad character designs, but then as the series would progress, it seems that it really gathered a massive audience, and not only that, it also gathered some awards at the same time. So yeah, Big Mouth seems to be a major player for Netflix, almost as much as BoJack Horseman, so I don't really think so. Alright, so what else do we have here? What other comments do we have? Let's see. No, not that one. Just want to see if we have others. I've seen a few episodes of the older show before I was 9 years old. Not a big fan of it, but this looks like it could be pretty good. I'll wait and see by the time it comes out. Oh, someone actually did point out. Yes, there is actually one. The Magic School Bus reboot. Oh, that's true. Now, that was a series that just came and went so quickly. Oh, God. Man, that was a mistake and a half. And it's kind of sad, too, because it did seem like they wanted to do a lot of promise. I remember that they brought in Lin-Manuel Miranda to do a new version of the theme song. But, yeah, that thing definitely went nowhere. Oh, God, that definitely was a mistake. But, yeah, I think overall, it does look like it shows a lot of promise. So, yeah, good on Carmen Sandiego. Congratulations. You are the best trailer in this week's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And I will admit, by the way, how old is Carmen Sandiego? Did they make her a teenager or something? Because I will admit, like, I will give it that with the design she has over here, she's actually pretty cute. You know, she does look pretty hot. So I will give her that. But I don't know, like, if she's a teenager, if she's underage, I'll back off from that, of course. Okay, so, anyways, with that said and done, I think we are pretty much all good with the trailers, and there is actually one animation news that is worth talking about right over here, and unfortunately, this is a bit of a sad one to go ahead and discuss, because before the year ended, we actually lost a true animation veteran. Now, The fact that he passed away is not necessarily that sad because of his age, but, it is still a bit heartbreaking to see this man go. And who I am talking about right over here is actually the legendary animator Don Lusk. Yes, Don Lusk has unfortunately passed away just before 2018 ended off. He died at the age of 105, so I think it's safe to say that he passed away of old age. So in this case right over here, for those of you who don't necessarily know who is Don Lusk, like I said before, this man is a true animation veteran, and his works have spawned from a variety of different projects, but the one thing that a lot of people know Don Lusk the most is that he was one of the very few living animators who actually worked at Disney during the Golden Age. Using my source here in the Animation Scoop, it actually stated that Don Lusk actually joined Disney in the animation department all the way back in 1933 when he was just 20 years old. And his credits are actually included in some of the biggest Disney animated features ever created. These would go and include the animated short Ferdinand the Bull, Bambi, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Song of the South, Cinderella, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, and 101 Dalmatians. But it doesn't stop at just Disney. After 1960, he decided to quit, but work on 2 other different animation studios and actually work with some very prolific animation people. He would also work for Walter Lantz at Walter Lantz Studios. He would work for Bill Melendez and actually work on A Boy Named Charlie Brown. He worked at UPA, where he would go and work on Gay Paris. And then in the 70s, it actually stated, I believe, starting from 1970, he would then go and work 23 years at Hanna-Barbera, where he would go and create so many different projects, ranging from Scooby-Doo all the way up to Yo Yogi, where he would then, in the early 1990s, he would officially retire. It wouldn't be until 2015 that he would win the Winsor McCay Lifetime Achievement Award at the Annie Awards for his career in animation. In fact, the Animation Scoop actually does provide a bit of an example of some of his works. You can actually find it on YouTube, but there is a video that shows Don Lusk actually receiving his Winsor McCay Award, plus highlighting some of the works that he has actually done in animation. So I'm going to skip ahead up to the part where we see some of his animated works. So it's right over here. So, okay, it's starting right now. All right, so that was a little highlight reel of the animated works done by Don Lusk. And I just want to start off by saying that if you are only listening to this, I do apologize that you don't get to see the animation portion that Don Lusk has done for many of the Disney films, but you can actually go and check it out on YouTube again. It's Don Lusk receives his Winsor McKay Award, and it's on YouTube. But come on, you don't get to complain all that much. I mean, you get to listen to some really nice music. I mean, you listen to a part of A Dream As You Wish Your Heart Makes, and you also listen to a part of the Nutcracker segment from Fantasia. So it's not all that bad. But to also mention that, as you've probably seen in here, what is also known to be his massive crowning achievement, what a lot of people would refer to Don Lusk the most, is actually animating fish. Most particularly, he is actually highly credited to actually go and animate Cleo from Pinocchio, and also I was about to say erotic, but the exotic fish from the Nutcracker segment in Pinocchio. But in a way, actually, saying erotic is not that far off, because, like, you probably see in that segment with the way that the fish would dance, like, it is seductive in a way. It's meant to show a bit of a sexy little dance, but in the form of how fish would go and interpret it. But as you can see, many of his works are actually very solid and very smooth as well. So it definitely blends well with the style that Disney was doing, especially back in the day. And the fact that he was involved with many of the massive Disney classics, like it would highlight a lot of Cinderella, a lot of Peter Pan, a lot of Bambi, and even a lot of Pinocchio. So this was definitely an artist that has lived the moment when some of the greatest animated features ever were created. And a lot of his style, it definitely is unique. You could see that his specialty is more into the realistic realm. He doesn't go over the top with it. Like, you even see some clips of Hey There, It's Yogi Bear, the animated feature of Yogi Bear. And even on that department, you actually do see some subtleties as well. Like, he doesn't go into the cartoony route, but he does do some more smooth, some more smooth movements, he prefers more subtlety than exaggerated. And, that's quite fascinating with his art style. And the factor that he can actually go and animate not just fish, but also different animals like we have seen in Bambi. So this is definitely a versatile animator that we have here. But it definitely was a sad moment to hear that he has passed away. But it's definitely safe to say that this man has most certainly lived a full life, especially at 105. And I guess you could say it's a little bit similar to a few years ago when it was Titus Wong who passed away. And that guy was a very prominent animator who worked on Bambi, who is credited for his art style to be the main influence to have the look of Bambi that we have today. And now with Don Lusk, this is an animator who has worked in many different projects, and you could definitely tell that his works will definitely live on for many generations through these animated features, and especially the fact that he's worked on some of the best ever. It is definitely fascinating to see what this guy has done. So I just want to say, congratulations on an amazing life, Don, and may you rest in peace, dude. All right, so with that said, I would like to know from you guys, I want to go into the chat wall right over here, and I want to ask, what do you think about the works of Don Lusk? Do you have a favorite moment from Don Lusk, like among the clips that you have probably seen in that little clip here? Are there any favorite moments? Are you going to miss him? I would like to know about your thoughts right over here. Okay, let's see. I might not knew this person, but I'm sure Don made an incredible impact in the animation field. Also, one more thing to add, was he also involved in making some of Disney's package films during the 1940s? I'm not 100% sure. It's hard to say. I don't necessarily think so, because at least on the list that I have here on Animation Scoop, it only mentions Song of the South and then immediately jumped to Cinderella. So he probably skipped those and just go ahead onto those major feature films. So that could be the case. Let's see what else. It's too bad his final project ended up being an animated series that everyone wants to forget existed. Yeah, because you can't necessarily say that Don Lusk ended off on a high note if one of his last projects has to be Yo-Yogi. Oh my god. Man, just that project in general, it's like, what the fridge is that? Okay, any other thoughts? Let's see now. Have we... Okay. I may have barely known his name, but just seeing that clip of animation really brings out why it can be like art in a movie. He will surely be missed, especially in his 100th age. Really kept him staying for a while. But yeah, I think that really is the point of mentioning these animators who have passed away. Like, sure, you might not know who they are, but I'm sure you're definitely familiar with their works. That's why I feel like it is definitely important, at least in this podcast, to mention about some of the animators that have passed away. They're not recognizable names, but they have certainly worked on very recognizable works. So I think that's definitely a good thing to at least remember by, like when animators like Don Lusk would pass away, so that now we can associate some names with a lot of many favorite animated moments. Okay, let's see now. Living to 105 is a great accomplishment, but Don Lusk's contribution to the Disney classics is truly something even greater than that. Thank you, Don, for bringing so many iconic Disney characters. May you rest in peace. Alright, that's very nice. Okay, so I think with all that, it definitely is very nice. So we've had our lovely little moment with Don Lusk. And now, folks, it shall be time that we shall all move on to the grand finale. And with this one in particular, this is going to be a bit of a bonus miscellaneous, because this is actually going to be related to a pretty big discussion that people had during the holiday season. However, I would like to put in a big disclaimer or a bit of a big warning before we go and continue. I just would like to point out that the following story will contain some foul language. So if you guys are not comfortable with swearing, or if you guys are not comfortable with me saying swear words, then this might not be the story for you. So this might not be something that you guys want to stick around for. But this is definitely going to be the craziest story that we have this week. So far, I do have one big question. And this is something that the internet has asked, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with. Let's go ahead and ask this big question, folks. Did Grover say the F word? Did Grover drop the F-bomb? Okay, so, for those of you who don't necessarily understand, there's actually a video that's been passing around the internet that's gone extremely viral, and it had a lot of people asking, did Grover swear on Sesame Street? The clip itself actually showed this, showed a clip on television that actually aired where you see one Muppet holding a phone and suggesting the idea, oh, this, why don't we go ahead and take pictures? And of course, Grover being Grover, he got really excited and he ended up talking fast. And what ended up happening was a bit of a discussion very similar to what happened before with Yanni or Laurel, where this clip would play and people would go ahead and discuss so much about if it either sounds like Yanni or if it either sounds like Laurel. So let's go ahead and listen. Tell me, guys, what do you think Grover said in this little clip? So, here's the thing. You would go and hear either one of two things coming from Grover from that clip. It's either some people have heard, yes, that sounds like an excellent idea, or Grover would say, yes, that's a fucking excellent idea. So that's the major thing that people might hear. It's either they've heard, it sounds like an excellent idea, or a fucking excellent idea. And people are pretty much freaking out and discussing rather if Grover legitimately dropped the F-bomb on Sesame Street. And I want to go ahead and start things off by discussing a little bit serious. So if I want to start off on a bit of a realistic note, if I could be a little bit serious, I am 100% sure that what Grover actually said is not the F-bomb. Like I said before, we know Grover, he would go and talk really quick. So, of course, some things might not sound the same, but considering that it is Sesame Street and that they did allow this to be on television, then there's no way that it would actually be Grover saying the F-bomb, especially in the case that, like, considering that Sesame Street is for children, so of course, people who work in the censor company or stuff like that, they would pay very close attention to make sure that nothing sounds a bit off or anything. So if it manages to pass those people, then it shouldn't be a problem that Grover actually said that sounds like an excellent idea. There is no doubt about it. However, let me just go ahead and point out that it doesn't not sound like Grover dropped the F-bomb. Because when I first heard of this, when I first saw this clip on social media, I didn't really think that much. I was thinking like, okay, well, this is just a little bit stupid. And then I started to listen. Then I heard Grover talking.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
That freaked me out. I was like, oh god, he said fuck. He said fucking excellent idea. What the fridge is this? I actually did hear it, and then I heard it the second time, and then at that point, that's when I actually heard that sounds like an excellent idea.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
And it's kind of weird. So that's when I went and go and check out my friend. I was with my friend at the time, and I told him, like, dude, you gotta hear this. Like, I didn't show him the clip. And at first, they also heard fucking excellent idea as well. So we experimented a little bit to see if we can do one thing or the other. And it really is a massively psychological thing, because you really have to use your brain to focus on one word in particular, and it will sound like it when Grover says it, because the way he enunciates it, it's in a style that it really is hard to distinguish if he actually did say one thing or if he said another. But if you go and focus it, then he will say it. So let's do this experiment all together. So, okay, so first of all, let's go and think about the F-bomb. Let's actually think about Grover saying fuck. I'll go and play this clip.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Okay, so you heard it, right? He said fucking. All right, now let's play this again, and now try to think of sounds like an excellent idea. Like, try to really think hard about the S.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
It's that S that really makes the difference. If you think, like, it's just a really short sound clip. But if you think about the S, it will make the world of a difference. Because with the way that Grover would just talk fast, without the S, of course it's going to sound like a fucking excellent idea. Of course it's going to sound like that. But with the S, then that's when it sounds like Grover saying, sounds like an excellent idea. Or at least it says sounds. Like, that S blocks anything. The S literally blocks the fucks. That's what the S would do in here. So really, it's a bit of a, it's kind of like a bit of a psychological experiment where you really have, or in a way, it's like an optical illusion for your ears, where you have to really think hard about one word and really make it effective. Like, I will have to say that with this, I feel like it actually is a lot more effective than the Yanni or Laurel, because I don't know about you guys, for me, all I heard was Laurel. But then with this one, I can actually hear both. I can hear Grover saying sounds, and I can hear Grover say fucking. So that's kind of the big thing right over here. And you know the funniest thing is that either way that they would say it, they actually both work in the context of what Grover is talking about. Because technically, in this scene in particular, Grover is trying to say that what the Muppet is suggesting is a great idea and that he's totally on board with it. So, however he would express it, they actually both work. It's like, yeah, that sounds like an excellent idea. It sounds like he's excited. Or Grover saying, yes, that's a fucking excellent idea. That also works. And especially with the way that he would enunciate, the way that you can hear his excitement in his voice. Like, either way, you can hear both, and it actually means the same thing to that Muppet. It's kind of crazy, though, that one way would actually be through swearing, but still, it actually works out. For me, I feel like this discussion, I feel like it's definitely a lot of fun because you can't really go wrong with one way or another, but it's actually very fascinating with the psychological aspect that people can definitely hear one thing or another depending on which word that they want to focus on. So when you think about the F word, of course, Grover is going to say fuck. And on top of that, you know what's, it's very fascinating to discuss about, like, technically with Muppets and swearing, because there is a little bit of a history. And I mean, of course, there was the disastrous movie with the Happy Time Murderers, but I think at this point, we Muppet fans are not really going to talk about that. I mean, we're gonna put about we're putting Happy Time Murders in the bin of, like, the forbidden things to not talk about as much as Muppets in Space. But there is one interesting fact that I do know about Muppets and swearing, because believe it or not, behind the scenes, there is one Muppet that would constantly swear a lot, and that is the Great Gonzo. Because the puppeteer, Dave Goelz, whenever the camera would be off, he would have a lot of fun picking up Gonzo and have him swear up a storm. In fact, so much so that Gonzo does have a pretty infamous reputation that Jim Henson would even go and tell Gonzo, all right, get the foul mouth one and put him right over here. So there is a bit of an interesting history with Muppets and swearing, but that's mostly behind the scenes. But on camera like this, that is definitely another story. So yeah, that was honestly pretty hilarious, and I feel like this is a fun discussion. So honestly, I want to know in the chat wall, what do you guys think? What did you hear when Grover talked about this idea? Is do you think he sounds like he's saying that sounds like a great an excellent idea? Or is this, or does it sound like Grover is actually saying that's a fucking excellent idea? Like, let me hear, what do you guys think? Alright, let's see, we got one right over here. This reminds me of the controversial Mickey Mouse short called Clock Cleaners. In that episode, Donald says who? Because the way Donald talks, parents complain that it sounds like he's saying, fuck you! As a result, the short had the line redubbed with on nuts. I mean, like, it's Donald. People barely understand Donald. And that's not, I know that Donald had several controversies where it sounds like he's saying something else instead of what he's saying. Like, we all know about the controversy with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where it sounds like Donald Duck is actually calling Daffy the N-word. So that's kind of the thing, is that it doesn't sound like he's saying what he is actually saying. It's hard to really know what Donald is actually saying in the first place, so it's hard to really distinguish if Donald is actually swearing in general. Alright, let's see, what else do we got here? If you have the time, can you look at the SpongeBob episode, The Paper? Because in one scene with Squidward, where he tells him to get out, there was a moment where it sounds like he's saying the S word, and I'm not going to say it, please check it out. The Paper, oh my god, it's been a long time since I've seen that episode in particular, but I don't know, I'll have to recheck. Is the paper, wait, Is the paper the one that's... Oh, I don't know. Oh, man. I need to double check on that episode. That's one of those episodes that I've probably seen the least. I've heard that's probably I've heard that's like a rare episode because like it's connected to a holiday episode and that's why it would be rarely aired. So that could be why. All right, let's see. There's another reminder. It reminds me of the Super Mario Bros. Super Show where Mario says, "Thank you, Luigi," and some people misheard as "F you, Luigi." Yeah, I've heard that too. Like, honestly, that is another great example, and I've heard a little bit of that, and it actually does sound like Mario is just pissed off going, "Fuck you, Luigi!" Oh my god. But especially with the relationship between Mario and Luigi in that show, it wouldn't surprise me if that would actually be the case, so, I don't know, really. Alright, and I still see some people are kind of scandalous. It's like, is AniMat's swearing? Yeah, I know. I mean, like, I understand that it is very rare in my videos that I would swear in general, except for probably the most that I did swear is that one moment in the top 10 scariest Disney moments, and even at that, it was like an extremely high pitch, even by my standards. So it's like, it's hardly comprehensible, but it's like the... Oh, fudge, I don't think I could do it nowadays. Oh, I can still do it. Okay, good. I just need to focus and I need to concentrate and train myself in order to get that right. Okay, so, alright, yeah. Yeah, some people is like, I'm not used to it. Are you guys not comfortable with me swearing? I know, I'm not usually a swearer in general, but, I guess, you know, it's a new experience, I gotta say, but, yeah, it's, but yeah, honestly, I feel like this is definitely a fun discussion to have with the whole thing with Grover and stuff like that. Okay, so with all that said and done, though, I think that's pretty much it with this week's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So, I just want to start things off by saying thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully things will definitely pick up from here in terms of the stories. We're not going to be dealing with small stuff. I'm sure that by next week, we will enter into some bigger animation news stories, especially with the Golden Globes coming up, so we will be discussing a bit about that. So, with all that said and done, I just would like to say thank you guys so much for watching, and, thank you guys for watching and listening, and until next time, see you later, dudes!